The modern diet is cringe. Here's why.
Eating out, fast food, processed food, ridiculous institutional decisions such as the USDA's food pyramid and the rise in seed oils. Combine that with the terrible diet advice you're getting from your favourite fitness influencers, and you've got a diet your so-called worse off pre-modern ancestors would be embarrassed to eat.
And don't worry, we get it. With such tasty dishes such as the gutter oil and carbohydrate thing, squeak squeak, community slop, and the entire goat. We're all human, I get it. We like to indulge.
Your diet is one of the three main pillars of health alongside exercise and sleep. And without a well-structured diet, you are adding to the resistance of your plans for success.
Don't listen to him. He's ginger. The three main pillars of health, as we all know: inhaling car exhaust fumes, drinking milk that you find on the street, and eating your own toenail clippings. The food pyramid was invented by the Swedes and adopted by the USDA in 1992, and as you can clearly see, it is upside down.
Yeah, your main priority when it comes to food should be protein and fats, but as you can see from the food pyramid, it actually says that the bulk of your diet should be coming from carbohydrates. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're meatheads like us,
I'm massive,
then yeah, obviously you need your carbohydrates for energy. But even then, you've got to consider this is made for the average person. Their diet should be more focused towards the protein and fats and not carbohydrates. Now, you've got a high carbohydrate diet in a culture that's becoming ever increasingly sedentary, with people working in offices and spending a lot of time in front of the TV. People don't need the fuel, either carbohydrates, because they're not doing extensive work. Now, this leads to a vicious cycle, because increased carbohydrate intake spikes your blood sugars. The spike in blood sugars will make you feel more lethargic if you don't use the carbohydrates and the glucose for energy, which then makes you feel less motivated and further adds to the sedentary lifestyle.
I can physically attest to this. In my younger years, I was a big chap, a big whale of a thing, yeah? And I ate with a carb-based diet, high sugar, high carb intake, and I was the most depressed I have ever been. And I can put that down to my poor lifestyle, my bad diet choices, and a general lack of movement, physical exercise, and going outside.
Go outside, nerd.
And I can also back it with science with my big brain. A spike in insulin causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to the cells not being able to take in the glucose. That in turn leads to is fatty deposits building up in pubescent males, which is what I was. That leads to your body not producing testosterone or producing a lack of testosterone. So that will obviously lead to why as a young man I felt so lethargic and down and out.
Globally, obesity rates have tripled since 1975. In the US, 2/3 of the population are now considered overweight or obese, and over 60% of the population in the UK are also considered overweight and obese. This may also be one of the reasons for the spike in mental health that we've seen over the last several decades. Now, there's a recent study that we've found that suggests that depression and overall mental illness is at a 55% chance of increase when you are obese. We can all sit around and guess the reasons for that. Obviously, that's just raw data of 55% increase. It may be because of a general lack in self-esteem, or just the fact that you don't feel too good in yourself because you're lazy, you're sitting around and you're not getting out and about.
Of course, there's a multitude of reasons why, but dieting is a massive part of it.
Recommendations from the UK, and I imagine it's probably in the US too, the protein intake is something around 50 to 60 grams per day, which anybody who's in gym bro circles will know that that's completely laughable. All of the evidence that the gym bro community tell you is anywhere between 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per body weight. Now, for the average person, that's probably somewhere between 150 to 200 grams a day.
The average person could never be us. Are you going to listen to Boris and Rishi about what you should be putting in your body?
Have you seen the absolute state of the health secretary in Ireland currently?
Is that the wildebeest? Yeah, another one, yeah. Another one, yeah. And then there's the fat part of the food pyramid, which it states to use sparingly, but if you look back to yesteryear, our ancestors, it was a massive part of their diet, a staple even. Now, that brings us on nicely to our next point, which is polyunsaturated fatty acids. I've just had to do 90 takes for that.
I.e.
seed oils.
Now these polyunsaturated fatty acids, the reason that these are dangerous because of the molecular structure. Poly, which is a Greek term for many, means that these have essentially 3 chemical bonds which, when they undergo the heat process, they can be oxidized during this process. Polyunsaturated fats have 2 double bonds. The 2 molecules are the 2 most common PUFAs found in canola and other vegetable oils. If a fatty acid has 2 double bonds near one another, the molecular structure becomes highly susceptible to attack by oxygen.
I'll take you back to the mid-2000s when Fifth Gear did a special where they took used chip shop vegetable oil and ran a Mercedes on it, and it ran faultlessly, and a lot of people in the mid-2000s were running their cars on such used oils. McDonald's now pride themselves, now that their lorries run on their old oils. What in God's name is wrong with you that you are consistently putting that inside of you which can run a car? You are not a car.
Ka-chow.
In fact, scrap all that, guys. We're going to be doing a quick scorpion flames check. I've got one on my chest, some down my arm, a load on the back, and I have one in my arm.
Now how seed oils work is they lower your defence systems and they also lower your overall immunity. One of the main ways to do this is they attack your gut. Now this isn't a new phenomenon either. If you look at Hippocrates, who is considered the father of modern medicine, he was saying 2,000 years ago how all problems in the body started in the gut. Now modern science doesn't back this up perfectly. It does in some degree. As it's shown here, 70 to 80% of your immune cells are found in the gut. So if these seed oils are attacking the gut, they're essentially attacking these immune cells that are in the gut. They also affect the brain by lowering the overall antioxidant levels in your body. Now the brain is the main organ which is dependent on antioxidants. So if you start to remove the antioxidants out of the body, you impair the brain's ability to function.
Now, let's get it clear. These are you problems. Me and my mate don't have to worry about it. We're quintuple boosted. I'm never going to have to worry about a cold or a flu again. These things can also relate to heart diseases, ligament. There's other general ailments which come with it. You're more susceptible to sunburns when you're intaking a large amount of seed oils. Your cells are inflamed. With the general bad diet, you aren't getting the general vitamin D. Plus your cells are inflamed, so whenever you go to Tenerife, you're getting lit up, rude boy. We'll do a proper video on seed oils. Comment, like, and subscribe if you want me to do that. Also, donate me £7,000.
Where are we donating to, mate?
My bank.
Now the next topic we want to take on is processed food. Now this is a problem that's mainly for UK, US and general Northwest European audiences. Now as you can see from the image on screen, the vast majority of these percentages are talking about ultra processed foods. Take the UK for example, 50% of people's diet is on things like breaded chicken Kievs, potato smileys and frozen pepperoni pizzas.
There's a bit of a trend going around on social media recently of the Iceland buffet. I'll bang it up on screen. All brown, all sad munch. If you spent any time online recently, you would have had Eddie Abu, I think that's how you say his name, thrown into your algorithm recently. He's basically a former bodybuilder and a TV personality, basically going around supermarkets exposing the ultra high ingredients lists and the needless ingredients into your diet. He talks about how there's dextrose in breaded chicken, how low calories are a lie, and people like him are becoming popular now because obviously this is a prevalent issue.
What this shows us as well, by the popularity of Eddie, is that it's also backing up the things that we are saying. It's combining the worst aspects of the aforementioned things. These processed meals, they're high in carbs, low in protein, all the fats are canola oil, vegetable oil. It's a GMO, so it's genetically modified, which means the animal will have been pumped with things like bovine growth hormone, which unnaturally fattens and grows and matures the animal. Now obviously this then passes down to the consumer, because this is the old saying of you are what you eat. So if you're eating the animal, you eat what the animal eats. So any toxins that the animal eats, you're eating by proxy. Then also a lot of these foods, they're microwavable, they're in plastic packaging, which takes us on to another issue that we'll probably cover in videos further on down the line, which is estrogenics in the modern society.
If an animal were to die stressed, it would have cortisol in its blood and it would have adrenaline pumping through it. Now think, when an animal dies and you then go and eat that, you're eating tainted meat and you're becoming a product of that.
These animals that are being pumped with these chemicals, they're all from battery farms. So
yeah, in the worst circumstances possible.
Yeah, of course they're going to be stressed out, because an animal wants to be grass-fed, it wants to be free-ranged, but it's just sitting in a factory surrounded by thousands of other animals just being pumped full of steroids. It's got no quality of life. So you're eating the hormones as well as eating the stressed out animal.
Animals avoid other carcasses unless they're predatory, so they're completely aware of the stress and hell they are in. I have to think, whenever you're purchasing goods from a supermarket, you're not purchasing from a farm, you're not purchasing from a farmer, you're purchasing from a business, and a business needs long shelf lives for products, which will lead to high ingredients lists. These products have to be pumped full of preservatives such as nicene and trisodium phosphate, ingredients pumped into your food which have to keep them on the shelves. For the money you save by buying these products from a supermarket, you're cutting yourself short when you can spend more money and be a better person for it.
Yeah, and also with these foods, one of the main reasons that they're pumped with chemicals is your body, your natural taste buds can sense when food is devoid of nutrients. So another reason, not just for long shelf life, that they have to pump them full of chemicals, is they have to basically chemically change the way that these taste. Realistically, there is no taste, there is nothing to these food, it's just chemically engineered slop.
And with the chemical engineered food, you'll get fake flavours and fake preservatives put in. Have you ever eaten anything banana flavoured or anything barbecue flavoured, and you taste it and you're like, wow, this tastes like it's made in a lab? It doesn't taste anything like the actual product, it's just a fake modern world.
Yeah, how the f can anything taste barbecue?
Yeah.
We all know that eating fast food and eating out for the general consumer isn't good for your health.
Processed food it's time effective. You can pick it up off the shelf, you can go out and have it in 20 minutes. In a restaurant like McDonald's, you don't even have to get out your car to eat your meal. You've got an excuse to eat bad, and it's just easy, it's fast.
Yeah, it keeps up with the fast-paced modern lifestyle that you've got now, where everyone's trying to cut corners and save time. With the uptake of corporations like Uber Eats and Deliveroo, like you just said there about McDonald's, you don't even need to leave your car. Well, you don't even need to get in your car anymore.
What the dog doing?
And now you have a multitude of influencers promoting such things. Guys who are on the kitchen sink in terms of pharmaceutical enhancement, if you catch my drift, who are telling you to go out and eat out because it's time effective, it saves you time. But the 20 minutes that you save today isn't worth the health ramifications you will feel later down the line. Moron.
Now, over the last 6 months, I've seen a huge increase of influencers talking about eating out to save time, whether this is people like Alex Hormozi.
The easiest way to get 13 hours a week back on average for an American is to eat takeout rather than get groceries.
Jay Wall at Rooster.
I eat Reeds every day. I never cook. I'm cooking, saving money.
Now, both of these are coming out at it from a standpoint of you need to save time no matter what so you can make more money. Now, I think this is a completely ridiculous concept, because when you look at it, these guys are telling you to eat out and buy food to save you time. But you've got to consider that if you're doing this from the ground up and you're just starting out, the only food that you can eat are ready meals or McDonald's, because that's what you can afford. If you look at, say, the price of a steak from a restaurant, that's 20 to 25 pounds, then you've got the £3 surplus on top of that you're paying the Deliveroo driver. They're saying that this is saving you time. Your time, if you're a normie, isn't worth £25 an hour. We've covered this in a previous video, it's more like £12 an hour. So unless a steak is taking you 2 hours to cook, there is no way that this is going to work out in your favour in terms of time equals money. It's terrible advice coming from people that I don't know why people look up to. Don't get me wrong, they're good marketers and they're good at what they do, i.e. being influencers, but do not be listening to these people on diet, and do not be listening to these people about saving time when it comes to diet.
And yeah, man, let's look at it just with basic entrepreneurship in mind. One, you're spending money that you don't need to spend. Two, you are fogging your mind with utter nasty food. As an entrepreneur or an aspiring young man, you want to be eating the best things possible to fuel your brain. On top of the influencer sphere, you've got people who necessarily don't have malice in mind, but you've got people like Sam Sulek on screen shoveling abhorrent amount of foods in their mouths.
So how long does a six-pack last?
It's right when I get home.
Oh, okay.
It's gone.
And you, in your mind, skip over the fact that these lads will, outside of beating bad, have balanced lifestyles and beyond the kitchen sink in terms of steroid use.
You a normie who's just lifting weights 3-4 times a week, you can't get away with this. And that's not necessarily an attack on people like Sam Sulek, because I think he's a good guy. But the problem is, we've alluded to this in previous videos, you view these people as authority figures because you see him having 1 million subscribers and getting 5 million views. So you don't look at Sam Sulek as a man on ton of tren effectively. You see him as a guy who eats 12 Krispy Kreme and can get away with it and still be in immaculate shape.
And then you've got lads like Liver King, a clear mantra they were trying to push. They've completely ruined it and exposed themselves by being on pharmaceutical enhancement.
Because I lied and I misled a lot of people.
Eats.
And lying about it as well, not lying.
Yeah, completely lying about it in your face, on podcasts. I'm not on steroids, you are.
Liver King's overall message about don't eat processed foods, eat things that your ancestors would eat, stay away from trans fats and stay on healthy fats. All these things were a good message, but because he abused the halo effect, i.e. he was in shape so people listened to him and he told people that he wasn't on steroids, he's completely warped what could have been a very good message.
Easy one to conclude on. It's simple as this. Treat your body like a car.
Put your worm in the exhaust.
As well as that, you want the correct maintenance for the car to make it last the longest amount of time. If you are putting bad stuff inside it and abusing it, treating it badly, the car will not last and stand the test of time. The same way you won't, dummy. You are not a car, you are a fatty.
And don't get me wrong, we understand the complexities of the modern world, and the modern diet is becoming harder to evade because of things like corporate advertisements and how they're sneaking these things into all the ingredients. But that doesn't mean that you should just give up on it. You've got to put up a fight. You've got to be willing to do your best to combat these things. Remember, the powers that be are doing this because they want you weak. They want you corruptible. So are you going to roll over and take that, or essentially are you going to say, no, I'm going to eat how my ancestors did and I'm going to live how my ancestors did?
Right, let's wrap it up. Get a takeaway and a beer.